G'day guys and gals. So we're doing FINTS, F-I-N-T-S. Now your map, if you haven't cleared it, will probably look a bit different to this, and this screen will also look a bit different to this, but that's okay, doesn't matter. So what we're gonna do to get through this is we're gonna be using two standard vanguards. So I have Courier and Scavenger, two single target healers, two split shot snipers, so snipers that have a skill that hit additional targets. So I have Vermeil and Blue Poison. I also have Pinecone, who is, I believe they call them a boomstick sniper is what they actually call the archetype, but I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, she is in with skill 1, and she's going to be our cleanup operator. We need a ranged guard. Now, I find Midnight to be perfectly ideal for this. Alternatively, I think the only solid alternative is... Ice Scar... No, he swaps to arts. You need physical, and I think Midnight is the only one I know of that does physical. I know Lapland does if you keep her at skill 1, but... may as well just use Midnight. He works, so why not? A high damage tank, so I'm bringing Dernar because I was forced to level her up to level 60 against my will for some unlocks. So Asbestos works just as well. Asbestos is fine if you've got Asbestos. They need to be a 3 block because they need to block bulldozers, also known as bullies. Or rather, they're the advanced version of bullies, so if you want to use Asbestos, that's fine. Preferably an art tank. Secondly, you want a healing defender just as a backup. And last but not least, an AoE guard. And our AoE guard will be sort of replacing our vanguards. So, if this helps you out, guys, or you just enjoy listening to me crap on, then by all means, leave me a sub, because that helps me out. Vermeil in first. Our tankier defender here, if you're using both defenders, vanguards that I am. Vermeil's skill as soon as it's ready. Second one, so obviously Scavenger has significantly higher attack than Courier, so we're going to leave her there. And Courier is going to be the one we will be replacing later on. Blue Poison's going to go over here. Midnight here once this first enemy goes down. And now we're going to save up some deployment points because we need to do not a quick double deploy, but we do need to get a couple of operators in. So once this enemy goes down, we're fairly safe to pull out Vermeil, pop in Pinecone. So that's our first expensive operator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Blue Poison's skill here to get as much damage on this bully the first time around. Now obviously that's bollocks damage, but it is what it is. After that, we are going to pop in our healer. So Mer here, facing down. Dernar here, facing across. And before I do that, I will actually just pop in my other healer just there. So, just like that. So Dernar should be the one being attacked. Now we want to do as much damage to this bully as we can within reason. So we want to kind of do some burn through of Pinecone's skill to get as much damage as we can. So after Courier cycles this skill, because I'll have plenty of deployment points to play with by then, I will cycle him out and pop in Stell. So Dernar's skill as soon as it's ready, because as I said, we really need to get this enemy down. So we want as big a burn on that enemy as we can. Okay, Courier's done. Let's swap him out. So these enemies are the ones we need to worry about. Let's burn them down. So Midnight skill obviously as soon as that enemy gets in range, and if blue is still on cooldown, give her a minute, wait for these enemies to come down, and we'll use her skill. That way she can do some work on those enemies and make life a little bit easier for us. Scavenger skill we're not using for deployment points anymore, we are literally just using to do damage. So use that skill sensibly every time you see enemies coming through. The same thing goes for Pinecone. At this point, we want to drop back on spamming and start considering, you know, where sensible usage is. So the second bully, much like the first, will do a whole lap. So we don't need to super panic at the moment. If your bully here, however, is nowhere near Cactus, then I would definitely be panicking. So, once again, we're just sort of watching Pinecone's skill. So everything's in her area, so we use a skill. This bully is it, so Durnar can take care of that. I don't care about that. Blue Poison is done, take her out. Midnight is done, take him out. Estelle Vermeil in here facing down. We needed her in the center. Use her skill when things are in range. Same thing with Pinecone. Use Pinecone's skill when stuff gets in range. Just burn through those enemies. Because we don't want these enemies hanging around. Because there are worse enemies a little bit later on. So once again, wait on Pinecone. And burn those enemies down. Now, I'm holding off on Scavenger skill because obviously we have a big group of enemies coming through and I want to make sure that those enemies don't do anything too stupid to me. I knew Vermeil was probably going to go down there. If she didn't, it would have been a stroke of dumb luck. But that's fine because I'm actually wanting to redeploy Blue Poison. And what I'm going to do from there is I'm going to deploy Gummy in the center. And what that's going to do is force these snipers now to attack Gummy when they get in range. And Gummy also acts, obviously, as another healer. Now, these drones, you might think are bad juju, don't worry too much. Pinecone pretty much eats those, especially if you use a skill, she just tears them to pieces. And her skill does cycle quite comfortably, so, as I said, don't worry too much about it. So, off they go. And this is sort of like the last hurrah from the enemy, these guys right here. So basically what we're going to do now is I'm just going to wait for everything to dogpile into the middle and then I'm just going to burn them down with the Pinecone. Once again, wait and then burn them down. Once they all dogpile up into the middle, just shoot them all down. And that's it. Alright, so these enemies are probably the absolute last things we've got. Everything I have is where it is for a reason, and this reason right here is it. These enemies will heal themselves every time they attack. The more friendly, they heal, the worse it gets for you, basically. So at this point in time, we're going to burn these enemies down as quickly as we can. Durnar is pointless, I don't need Durnar. I'm going to pop down Midnight over here, because obviously Midnight stays well away. And this just sort of really helps you to burn stuff down. Like you can also get rid of Estelle from there. You know, if you're finding yourself having a little bit of trouble, you can get rid of operators and replace in new ones. Just try and keep them at a distance. So that's it. I know that's a lot, guys. I did have a couple of requests to just sort of minimum pausing and just try and talk my way straight through it. So, I mean, I am trying to do a new way of throwing through this. So let me know if you like it or you don't like it, if you'd prefer me to pause and take things a little bit slower. Majority rules, so yeah. Anyway, guys, as I said, if you did like it or if it helps ya, please hit that subscribe and stay tuned for more.